2025, the year everyone, and I mean everyone, lost their minds over a rock. A very special rock, to be fair. One that came from another star system, and one that, upon reappearing from behind the sun, grew jets that pointed the wrong way. This, naturally, led one Harvard professor to suggest that it was an alien mothership. Others, less naturally, suggested that this was atrocious statistics. It's the biggest, messiest scientific catfight of the year. So, who's right, the skeptics or the other skeptics? Don't panic, let's follow the evidence. This whole story starts on July 1st, 2025. Astronomers at the Atlas survey in Chile were doing their nightly "Don't Let the Sky Kill Us" routine, and they spotted a new thing, a faint smudge, moving fast. This, by itself, isn't rare, but when they ran the numbers, the computer basically spit out its coffee. This smudge wasn't from here. Its orbit was what scientists call hyperbolic. In human terms, that means its path had an eccentricity. Think of it as its orbital shape of 6.1. To put that into perspective, a perfect circle is a 0. Earth's orbit is a 0.016. This thing's orbit was a 6. That's not an orbit. That's a getaway route. The Minor Planet Center confirmed it 2 days later. This was only the third interstellar object ever detected, the 3I in 3I Atlas. It was in a rare, exclusive club with Oumuamua and 2I Borisov, and like any good third installment in a trilogy, this one was about to get weird. See, Oumuamua was a weird asteroid. Borisov was a normal comet. 3I Atlas was both and neither. It was a mess. Right away, it was active, meaning it was already spewing gas and dust, and had a fuzzy coma just like a comet. But spectroscopy showed it was loaded with carbon dioxide, also known as dry ice, but weirdly low in water. This meant it was outgassing and looking active way farther from the sun than our boring local comets. That was anomaly number 1. Then there was its orbit, not just its shape, but its angle. It was flying a retrograde orbit, meaning while all the planets are moving, say, counterclockwise, this thing was moving clockwise, going against traffic. But here's the kicker. It was also almost perfectly in plane with us. Its inclination was 175 degrees. 0 degrees is in plane. 180 degrees is in plane but backward. This thing's path was only 5 degrees off. The odds of an interstellar object arriving from a random direction, going backward, but also perfectly lining up with our solar system's disk? Avi Loeb, the Harvard guy, put the odds at less than 0.2%. That was anomaly number 2. Finally, there was anomaly number 3. The light reflecting off of it showed extreme negative polarization, which is just a hyper nerdy way of saying it reflects light in a way we literally never ever seen from any comet or asteroid ever. So, to recap, it's made of the wrong stuff, flying the wrong way on a statistically impossible path, and reflects light wrong. It was already a major outlier. But then, right when scientists needed to see it most, it vanished. In the first week of October 2025, NASA aimed its best camera at the comet. This was the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, the HiRISE telescope. It wasn't just taking snapshots. It was capturing data 3 times sharper than Hubble. This was the data that was supposed to be the smoking gun, the images that could finally prove if this thing was just a weird rock or something else. And this was a time-sensitive mission, because everyone knew that on October 1st, the comet's path would take it behind the sun, and it would be completely invisible. This was the last chance to get a clear look, so HiRISE took the pictures, and then nothing. The images were not released. For 43 agonizing days, the world's most important scientific data was just gone. The official reason? A US government shutdown. An excuse so perfectly, so comically bureaucratic, you couldn't make it up. The timing was, let's just say, suspicious. This created a data vacuum. The one agency with the definitive proof was silent, just as the internet's alien probe theories were going nuclear. Then, as promised, on October 21st, the comet passed behind the sun. The world was now blind. And while it was hidden, on October 29th, it hit perihelion, its closest, most brutal approach to the sun. The entire scientific community was in suspense. This was the acid test. If this thing everything was just a fragile ice and gravel pile. The heat and gravity should have torn it to shreds. In early November, the world waited. Did it break up, or did it do something even weirder? On November 11th, astronomers David Jewitt and Jane Liu got the first clear images. The verdict? The comet survived. It was a single body. It hadn't broken up. This, paradoxically, was the weirdest thing it could have done. Scientists had calculated that the comet was already accelerating faster than the sun's gravity alone could explain. It was getting a boost from somewhere. The only natural theory was that it was acting like a tiny rocket, violently shedding 13% of its total mass. A comet losing that much mass isn't a comet, it's a grenade. It should have been vaporized. It wasn't. And then, on November 9th, images from two other observers, Bachner and Niebling, showed the real mystery. The comet had jets pointing at the sun. This is where Avi Loeb went all in. He called it the 12th anomaly, and it's a genuinely brilliant bit of logic he called the lawn sprinkler problem. Here's the logic. Fact 1. We know the comet spins once every 16 hours. Fact 2. A natural comet jet is just slow-moving gas, like steam from a kettle. If you put a spinning kettle on a 16-hour rotation, the steam would just spray out in a spiral, a lawn sprinkler. Loeb pointed to the November 9th images. The jets weren't a spiral, they were razor straight and 1,000,000 kilometers long. This was a physical contradiction. You can't have a slow jet from a spinning object that stays straight. It's impossible, unless, Loeb argued, this wasn't slow gas. What if it was a fat-efficient, highly collimated thruster? The evidence was laid out: a spinning comet, a straight jet. It was a physical contradiction. So, what's the truth? So, about that alien thruster theory, it was a great story, but it was completely, totally, and hilariously wrong. The real truth wasn't in a dramatic, delayed picture. It was found in a boring radio signal before the post-sun drama even started. On October 24th, the Meerkat radio telescope in South Africa detected something. And this was the actual smoking gun. It wasn't a message. It was the unmistakable chemical fingerprint of hydroxyl. You and I know it as OH. And what happens when sunlight hits water? It breaks apart into H and OH. This was direct chemical proof that 3I Atlas was a natural, water-rich comet. The case was, for all intents and purposes, solved. So what about the impossible jets? That was just a trick of perspective. The anti-tail wasn't a gas jet at all. It was a trail of heavy dust that the comet had left behind in its orbit. Because the dust was so heavy, the solar wind couldn't push it. From our angle on Earth, this orbital debris looked like it was pointing at the sun. It was, quite simply, an optical illusion. This means the lawn sprinkler problem was irrelevant. Loeb was solving for the wrong variable. So no, it's not an alien probe. It's a 7-billion-year-old fossil from another solar system. It's weird because it's supposed to be. It's not our rock. It's a piece of alien geology, and that's just the universe showing off again, proving that it is, and always will be, infinitely weirder and far more creative than we are.